right. Let me just go. I don't know if Ruth is here or not. Is Ruth here?
Nope.
No. Okay. All right. So Ruth had asked about the very end of the of chapter 7. A recommendation to suggest us to read the previous review of July of 59, the case of a soldier of Magenta. Although he's not here, let me go since I prepared myself to do it. And he did see an association with the topic. That interview that Kardec did with this spirit was a soldier that died in the Battle of Magenta somewhere at North Africa, one of the French colonies, I believe. And he was evoked, responded to the evocation, and had a conversation with Kardec. And great part of the conversation deals with uniform. He was presenting himself, how he was presenting himself, and declared he presented himself dressed with his military uniform. And then Kardec asked about his superiors and who also died in the battle, and the superiors also in the spiritual world present themselves in their military uniforms with the symbols of the hierarchy in the military system and all of those things. So it has everything to do with the chapter that we study, that is the laboratory in the visible world, which deals with the ability of the spirits having the know-how, having the will, which is our main power, basically is our will in the spiritual world, utilizing elementary matter that can produce the clothes that they use in the spiritual world. And if a military person associates himself, identifies oneself, or as a military person, we will, with the power of the mind, utilizing the available resources, the elementary matter, dress themselves the way that they want over there. That is the relationship with the chapter. It is significant, and I understand Ruth's confusion is because the very end of this topic, it deals more with healing than with clothing. But the healing, the suggest to deal with healings is in the paragraph referring to the healing mediums here in our spirits book. Okay, so there is a true association, but it deals with the clothes that this soldier present himself and talk about how they can actually wear uniform or not if they choose to. Okay,
Elmo,
yes.
would you recite the section of the document again?
What do you
year?
mean? Huh?
The uniform information was in what document?
It's on the Spiritist Review, the magazine of July of 1859.
Oh, 1859. Thank you.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So now you continue with our chapter 9,
Okay.
100 places. Actually, we were supposed to start on item 9 today, but item 9 is a continuation basically of item 8. The question starts then to believe in 100 place, which means that we need to know weight. So let's just read 8, not comment, because you already did, and then you read 9 straight and we comment on 9. Okay?
Start with 8.
Yes, just read straight. Otherwise, 9 will make no sense.
Okay. Do spirits have any preference for visiting the graves in which their bodies lie? The body was no more than a garment. They have no more preference for the envelope in which they had to suffer than a prisoner for his chains. Being remembered by persons dear to them is the only thing they value. Are prayers that are offered over their graves more pleasing to them? And do they attract them more than prayers offered elsewhere? As you know, prayer is an evocation that attracts spirits. The more fervent and sincere a prayer is, the more effective it will have. Thus, beside the grave of some venerated person, people concentrate harder, and the preservation of pious relics is a witness to the affection given to the spirit and to which it is always sensitive. It is always a thought that acts upon a spirit, not material objects. Such objects have more influence upon the one who prays by fixing the attention upon them rather than upon the spirit. Then the brief in haunted places would not appear to be completely erroneous, correct? We have stated that certain spirits may be attracted to material things and can therefore be attracted to certain places in which they appear to take up residence until the circumstances they have drawn them there no longer exist. What circumstances could so draw them? Their affinity for some of the people who frequent such places or the desire to communicate with them. However, their intentions are not always so praiseworthy. When evil spirits are involved, they may seek revenge against certain individuals with whom they have some complaint. Having to remain in a determined place may also be of some a punishment that has been imposed, especially if they have committed a crime there, of which they will constantly be reminded.
Thanks. So basically on 8, the Spirit tells that spirits, we free of the physical body, are really attracted to thoughts. Okay, what really caught our attention in the spiritual world is the thoughts that when we think of certain individuals, we may attract them. And when we pray, naturally, if I'm praying for someone in the spiritual world, naturally, I think of that individual. The more emphasis, the more intensity you put on that prayer, the stronger is the attraction of the spirits towards me in that case, right? People have the myth, the use of things like lighting a candle, a cross, of all those things. Those things attract the spirits. No, and usually it doesn't. Usually it doesn't. But when I use those instruments, those tools, the candle, the cross, the crystal, the whatever people may use, and that helps me to put greater intensity on my prayer, it helps me to put greater intensity on my thought, it does directly increases the power of attraction to that spirit, which could be a good thing, or may not be a good thing, okay? But spirits may also have an attraction to some specific places, most of the time, not to the place, but the individuals that inhabit those places. Individuals are consistently thinking of those spirits, and those individuals inhabit that specific location. The spirits will be there most of the time, okay? With different from the norm, from the average, the spirits may be attracted to one specific location for one specific circumstance. One already mentioned, people inhabit those places. Two individuals who are extremely attracted or attached to things that are in that location. That's where I buried my golden coins, and I make sure nobody will find my golden coins. I'm gonna stay there and be a watchdog, make sure that nobody ever steal my golden coins. They are mine, it belongs to me, nobody can take them. And if I bury them in my backyard and I discard it now, maybe I will stay hanging out in my backyard for a while until I learn better. Okay. If a spirit, of course, we're talking about less evolved spirits here, is seeking revenge, is seeking to make justice to their own hand towards one incarnate, likely that spirit will be wherever that incarnate is, doing the best to create chaos in the life of that incarnate person. The spirits may be, and we see that example in heaven and hell. There's two cases of this spirit who was basically imprisoned, was left there in that place as a learning opportunity. You have to stay in that place. I don't remember the name of the spirit anymore, but the one that was had to stay in the same house where he killed his brother and his wife, and had to stay there and basically live with all the blood on his hand and walking on blood, and everything was about blood, and he could not leave the place because outside of that place was the absolute darkness. So the only thing that he had, the whole universe basically was that house. Outside of the house was the absolutely nothingness. There was an opportunity that what he needed to learn the necessary lesson until he was able to be rescued from that place. Okay. Question, comments?
Quick question.
Mm-hmm.
So when the spirit dies, when the spirit dies,
When they die.
the spirit
That's
dies.
fine.
It's funny. That's hard, right?
Yeah.
So it's gonna be a little bit harder. Okay, so when the body dies, we know that it's performed the separation. The spirits come, and then there's all the disconnection, all the good stuff. And the question would be, first, that separation is performed where the body dies, exactly where, not exactly in that place that the body dies. They do that evidently at the spiritual level, or the spirit is taken somewhere in order to perform all that, because most of us will be in a sleeping mode. And in that case, if it's not done, if it's done in somewhere other than the place that the spirit is attached, how does the spirit find, can find the place, since all that confusion, being, being in the spiritual realm? How does it find its way to whatever place or people it's attached?
Okay, so the separation is, we're talking about a separation, a really material thing, a palpable thing, is actually separating the perispirit from the physical body. So it has to be where the physical body is, right? We're not gonna take the physical body to the spiritual world. If they are already still attached, the separation you have where the physical body is. Okay. If I die right now here in my house, but my wife calls the EMS and they take my body to the closed hospital, think that they can do something still, The separation will happen in that institution where they're gonna bring me, there in the hospital or maybe in the morgue already. That's why the idea of waiting the 72 hours for some cases. Some cases will take longer, some will take a bit very short, but we will have to happen here in the physical world where the physical body is. Because we can't, the spirit's not going to transport the physical body to the spiritual world to make the separation. So it's going to happen right here, and then the spirit, perispirit together will be taken some places, in accordance with the merit of that spirit. Okay, but the idea of finding the place where the spirit wants to be, or find where the body is, this is all mental. The spirit goes where the mind takes them. We'll reconnect. If I'm totally connect with my body, without body there is no life, and I'm still alive, therefore I have to have a body. They can make the separation will happen, but mind-wise, I'm still going to stay there where my body is, and I don't need a GPS or anything to bring me to my body. I'll go over there, my mind will take me there instantaneously. I don't know if instinctively is the right word, I'm not going to go there now, but I will go, I'll be there because that's where my mind will take me. So there is no need to be looking for my body, to be looking. There is some cases in the spirit cannot find a person, but that's because they are vibrating in a different level. A very, very unevolved spirit cannot find a more evolved spirit that is looking for, because they are vibrating such a different level that they cannot reach one another.
So then, so after they complete the separation, the spirits take somewhere, and the other spirit, they will take care of the spirit the best that they can, and after that, they like leave, and then the spirit finding itself whatever their mind goes to. That's what you say?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's what creates the differentiation of many levels of existence in the spiritual world, right? It is where we basically vibrate, where our level of vibrations has affinity with different places, right? When we have in our our Monday meetings, the spirit will come and definitely say, I don't like this here. It's too bright, it's too much light. But once I want to go back to where I belong, it is an exercise of the free will. There where that spirit is comfortable with, there where it feels that it belongs. Even if the spirit does help us in the separation of the physical body from the perispirit, after that, we will go where our mind takes us. We will go where we merit to be.
And how can the benefactors, quote unquote, hold a spirit in a certain place if the mind wants to be somewhere else?
Because they have the power to do so. the same way that the policeman can throw me in jail when my mind is at home, but I'm still in jail because they don't let me go.
Okay, got it. Oh boy.
No, because they do have the power to do so.
But remember, Renato, that only the spirits that have an inkling of change and renovation are taken and assisted by the spiritual benefactors. spirits that have no intention of changing themselves, have no desire of changing themselves, are left on their own.
Yeah, but not for the
The-
separation. The separation always are helped. Everyone
yeah.
is helped in the separation. After that, then it follows that you go where you belong.
But aren't there also so-called spiritual onlookers when we do the Monday evening meeting? Like, it's not just 1, 2, 3, or 4 spirits that do get to communicate, but many more are sort of overseeing or overhearing, I should say, perhaps, the conversations, and maybe they're getting an idea that they might eventually attend at some point. Would that be the case?
That is the case. Yeah. So on a leadership meeting that is done properly, when one spirit is communicating, you have a conversation with a dialoguer, that conversation is useful for many spirits that are present, not only for the one that has doing the communication. There are other spirits there that can benefit from that same dialogue. You know, if we go to a classroom together and the teacher's explaining the topic and somebody make a question, that question benefits all the students that are present, the ones who make the question or not. And when the teacher is answering that student, it's also answering all the ones who did not question them, right? So yeah, that is the case.
Right. And also it benefits each one of us who are participants in the physical world as well. It's definitely a blessing for many people and many spirits at one time.
That's right. We're not there by chance. As the sick ones in this hospital, we are there receiving our treatment.
Thank you, Amo.
Sure.
Okay, number 10.
Sure.
Okay. Are such places always haunted by their former residents? Sometimes, but not always. If the former residence was an advanced spirit, it would have no more connection to its former abode than its body. The spirits who haunt certain places nearly always do so out of caprice, at least those who may be attracted out of sympathy for certain persons. Might they have fixed themselves to a place in order to protect a person or family? Surely, if they are good spirits. But in that case, they never make their presence known disagreeably.
Thanks. So I'm gonna go back to the very beginning and read what he means by haunted places, okay? The spontaneous manifestations which have occurred down through time and the persistence of certain spirit in making their presence ostensibly felt in certain places. Okay, so that's what I mean here. And I'm reading this to clarify over here that my house right now is being inhabited by many spirits. Could be this house is whatever years old. There are many spirits here, yes. I just heard Lillian say that her house used to be a hospital and it's from 1840, something like that, right, Ron? It's a very old house. There used to be a hospital.
Yeah.
Definitely, that house has a lot of spirits hanging out over there. Can you say that it's haunted? No. To be haunted is when the spirits want to make their presence felt. By some means, in some means that, I'm sorry, the phone is ringing here. The soma means that catches our senses, being tactile, being visual, being auditive, being sense of smell, whatever. That's what it means by a haunted place, okay? Not that the other places are sterile, there are no spirits. No, every place has spirit. But when those spirits want to make noise and call attention, that's when you call it a haunted place. Are they always haunted by former residents? If the former resident is making their presence known, want everybody to know that they are there and do things to catch our senses, then we call it a haunted place. I mean, most real estates in New York, at least, somebody lived there before, right? It's very rare that you have a place that you are the first one living there. It happens, of course, it does happen. Are they haunted? Of course not. Okay. And of course, when a spirit is hanging out to a certain place, hunting or not, make their presence noticeable or not, we imagine that it's not a really much evolved spirit. Not say evil, uneducated, not really evolved educated, not really educated yet. Because a more evolved spirit would not waste time to do so. A more evolved spirit would seek the opportunity to learn even more, would seek the opportunity to be helpful somewhere, doing some work in the spiritual world or in the physical world, would not use the time just hanging out in a place because they like that place. Must they affix themselves to a place in order to protect a person or family? And that happens quite often, you know, that perhaps one of our grandparents who are now in the spiritual world have tremendous affection and sympathy towards us and compassion towards us, wants to hang out and help us, not necessarily make their presence felt, doing their work silently to help us. That you cannot consider that is hunting. If the spirits start to make noise out of goodwill, then we'd say that it's hunting. But we would say that it's, again, not a really evolved spirit. In order to be good or to have good intentions, we don't have to be really educated. You know, I mean, that's what I say, you know, hell is full of good intentions. Good intentions not necessary. And very often good intentions lead us to do bad things. So maybe out of good intention, maybe out trying to protect someone, you end up doing things that are not so cool.
Elmo.
Yep.
So, you know, there's different spirits that haunt a place that they want to, you know, just scare people, disorder, blah, blah, blah. And there are the spirits that they are trying to contact people because they need help, because they don't understand. They try to contact a family member or whoever is in the place, they're looking for help. So why is that for them? I would not say prefer, but for the lack of a better word, prefer to call the incarnate spirits instead of the help that, the spirits that, will be there to help him or her. So it's besides the lack of understanding of the spiritual realm. Why is that reluctance, I don't know, to the situation that they are right now?
It's definitely is the lack of education, right? The spirit doesn't know any better. Okay. Or perhaps the spirit doesn't even understand that it's discarnate. I am purely materialistic. There is nothing after the death of this physical body. I end up in the spiritual world. Will I believe that I'm dead? And if I am not dead, who's gonna help me? I'm confused. I can understand what's going on. The things are crazy around here. What's going on with me? Somebody needs to help. Who am I gonna ask to help me?
But isn't that
It's
enough
gonna
for
be incarnate spirits, right?
but isn't that enough for the benefactors to help that spirit, since he's looking for help, but he doesn't know that there's other kind of help? So he's looking for the incarnate one. That's all he knows or knows. So why the spirit keeps sometimes so long to a place, even though it's trying to?
Because you only vibrate at that level. The spirits are there to help you, but you are not. But you cannot help yourself. You cannot. You don't make room for them to help you. Create the window of opportunity for them to help you. That's why very often they are brought to spirit centers to associate with gross matter, like of the medium. So in that, we call the anemic shock, they will be able to have a conversation with an incarnate person and come to the realization they are dead. Do you think that those who come to our center who have discarnate, just had someone who just recently, just last week, was discarnate at the time of slavery, you still think they are living? Do you think there's not spirits trying to shake them up, say, hey, it's over, buddy, pay attention? They only got to understand that when they come to the spirit center and had that anemic shock and heard for an incarnate person.
So they only will accept the help coming from the incarnate person.
It's
even
not,
though
it's not a matter of acceptance, it's a matter of being able to hear, being able to interact with.
got it.
Okay, number 11. Is there any truth to the story of the white lady? It is a fable derived from 1,000 real incidents. Is it rational to be afraid of places that are haunted by spirits? No. The spirits who haunt certain places and make disturbances are mostly trying to entertain themselves at the expense of the gullible and cowardly, rather than doing evil. Remember that spirits are everywhere, and that wherever you are, there are spirits right beside you. Even in the most peaceful houses, they only seem to haunt certain residences because they find the opportunity to manifest their presence in them.
Thanks. I remember reading this last week with the white lady, and I said, I'm not gonna buy to research this white lady. And there's many fables over there of individuals who are sure, who can swear that there is a certain spirit that inhabits a certain location, and from time to time you see in the news that a place is being haunted by a specific spirit. They are able to describe, give the shape, gender, color of the hair, color of the dress. Is two things here. One, a fable. One, our own imagination. And two, a seeing medium had seen an individual, a spirit, and had the misunderstanding of the uneducation of coming and telling to everyone that this is happening, this is that, and one person says, the other one add a little bit to it, the other one takes a little bit out of it, so on, and those fables, those tales develop and we see very often. It's irrational to be afraid of places that are haunted by spirits. Easy for them to say no, but personally, if I go to a place and this person wants to make themselves presence perceived by me, making noise and creating all kinds of things, I think I'll be afraid. I don't think I want to hang out in a place where spirits wants to make themselves noticeable. Does it make sense? Is it reasonable? No, it's not. I do know better. I should not, but I don't think I would be very comfortable hanging out in a place where the spirits wants to make themselves noticeable. But if you use purely reason, yeah, they are right. Makes no sense. And the more I fear if the spirits are there to make fun at my cost, the more they will make themselves perceivable, the more they will enjoy seeing my heart rate at 300 per minute. But if it's reasonable, no. The reasonable, the Christian things, make a prayer for that spirit, say, can I be helpful to you in a way? You needed some kind of assistance. Do you understand that you are now free of a physical body, but would I be able to do that? I don't know if I'm evolved enough. Okay, questions, comment?
Are there any references to the stories that question 11 refers to that we can look up?
I don't know. That's what I said. I saw this white lady. I didn't care to look for it. To me, it means nothing.
Well, he cited it. That's why I'm wondering why he cited that.
Well, I guess was a popular tale of his time. That's what I would imagine. The same way there was this thing in Puerto Rico recently that was chupacabra or whatever. You know, the tales that shows up from time to time. And if there is one little basis of truth, maybe there was a Simiru saw a spirit dressed in white and made the mistake of telling someone who has a big mouth and things spread like that.
Okay. Okay, number
Okay.
13. Okay. Is there a way to get rid of them? Yes, but nearly always what is done only serves to attract them instead. The best way to expel evil spirits. Okay, wait a minute. 13. To expel evil spirits is to attract good ones. Therefore, attract good spirits by doing as much good as possible. Then the evil ones will flee, since good and evil are incompatible. Always be good, and you will only have good spirits at your side. But there are very good individuals who are nonetheless confronted with petty annoyances by evil spirits. If they are really good, it could be a test to exercise their patience and incite them to be better still. But don't believe that all those who always speak of virtue actually possess it themselves. Those who possess true moral qualities are nearly always unaware of them or do not talk about them.
Thanks.
Okay.
Common sense would lead us to believe that if a particular spirit or group of spirits taking preference to inhabit a certain location, there is two reasons here. One, that location has some certain significance to them, or the individuals, the incarnated ones who inhabited that location, has some significance to them, for the good or for the bad. Right? Does them allow the ones that will stay here and protect, or those are my enemies that want to make sure that I'll make them suffer. You know, both not really good. The more evolved the spirit, it would not be bothered with the physical things and move on with their lives. Right? Can you get rid of them? what I'm trying to say is, besides thinking of getting rid of them, why not think of what can we do for them? What can we do to alleviate the situation? How can we educate those spirits for the good and for the bad, or for the bad? Those who are here hanging out here for being overprotected of me, maybe my mom, who wants to protect me so hardly that, you know, that she's making herself noticeable and create disturbance to my family out of love. What can I do for her? How can I educate her? How can I make her know that this is not the best action? And that comes with us educating ourselves so we can educate others, because I cannot educate someone, I cannot give what I don't have. So, and that's what I believe, yes, it takes time, okay? Now, one thing that all of us can do is surround ourselves with good spirits, which basically means that we will vibrate at a higher level, that we cannot be bothered by those who's trying to bother us. If I surround myself with goodness, there is no room for evil. Only by a hierarchy in the spiritual world, the more evolved the good spirits will repel the bad ones, and the bad ones does not want to be in their presence. No, it's oil and water. But one thing that you must consider here is, if a spirit is making itself present to me or something else, somebody else, it's because I have some association with this spirit, and perhaps I'm gonna have to resolve it. Okay, that is my opportunity to resolve my quarrel before I come in front of the judge, as Christ suggests to us. So perhaps I'm gonna have to deal with that. Does it mean that I'm such unevolved spirit that I'm hanging out with perverse spirits? Well, Divaldo had his shadow, right? That almost led him to suicide. And nobody would say that Divaldo is an uneducated spirit. We have our responsibilities, we have our things of the past that we have to deal with. And when we are ready, when we can deal with those relationships that we have to fix, that is an opportunity for us to do so, and perhaps we should use that opportunity. But of course, we must educate ourselves first. Otherwise, you go ahead and you commit the suicide, right? The thing is also is that in order for me to learn something, I have to learn from someone who knows it, someone who has to give me. So perhaps spirits will be inhabiting a location, seeking the opportunity to learn from someone who knows more. And perhaps we are the ones who are in condition to assist those spirit base, come from the base that we do know, and we are willing to help. Okay? So spirits are also less evolved spirits. So you have to find some means to associate with more evolved spirits in order to learn. Because if I stay only at that level with only those spirits at the same level, how am I going to learn? Somehow I'm going to have to go one step up. And perhaps that one step up that allows me to learn something is I, in the spiritual world, have an association with someone that is incarnate. So to try to get rid of spirits may not be the best, the most Christian thing to do.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Number 14. Is exorcism an effective means of expelling evil spirits from haunted places? Have you ever seen an effective exorcism? No. you haven't. On the contrary, haven't the troubles doubled after exorcism rites? That is because such spirits love being taken for the devil. Spirits who have no evil intentions can also manifest their presence by making noises or even by making themselves visible, but they never do so to cause trouble. They are quite often suffering spirits for whom you can provide relief by praying for them. At other times, they are benevolent spirits who wish to show that they are, or finally, they may be frivolous spirits who are entertaining themselves. Since those who disturb the peace with noises are nearly always spirits who are amusing themselves, it is best simply to laugh at their antics. They will depart when they see that they can neither frighten nor vex you. The result of the above explanations is that there are spirits who attach themselves to certain places and prefer to remain there, but they do not have to manifest their presence by perceivable effects. Any place at all may be the obligatory of preferred dwelling of a spirit, even if it is an evil one, without ever having produced any kind of manifestation. Spirits who connect themselves to places or material things are never highly evolved, but just because they are not evolved, it does not mean that they are evil or fed by evil intentions. At times, there are even companions who are more useful than harmful. For if they take an interest in certain persons, they may protect them.
Okay, and we close this chapter with exorcism, which is a Catholic ritual to repel the devil, to repel the evil that is in one particular place, that is manifests itself in one specific place. It's a ritual that is performed by well-trained, specialized priests who go to the Vatican to get a training and get a certificate that they are an expert in getting rid of the devil. Does it work?
Nope.
No, let's beat things. Okay. Something is happening to my neighbor's house. My neighbor's house, my neighbors is the whole family are good citizens. Then they're not walking around kicking the dogs. They are charitable individuals, and things are happening over there that they cannot explain. And they are Catholics, and they believe that the devil is there, and they ask for exorcism. So a priest, well trained with the certificate in hand, goes on and perform the ritual, possibly through the merit of my neighbor. The spirit's taken away, and the thing stops. And you'd say the exorcism worked. And I would say, no, the merit of that family, the way that they are vibrating, and the goodwill of that priest worked. And that spirit was rescued, was taken to a place where they can receive the help that it needs. But the idea that you can just expel a spirit with specific words or specific water or with the signs of the cross, no, it does not work. On the contrary, spirit will be looking at those things happening and laughing at the priests right then and there. It may even make things worse because now the spirits see how gullible you are, how fragile you are, and it intensify more its attack, intensify even more, making the presence felt in that place. Or perhaps it makes worse because the spirit's not gonna get angry. Oh, you think you can do this to me? You think you come over here with your little cross and your silly water and the silly words and you can do this to me? I'll show it to you what I can do now, and maybe makes it worse. So what really works is, given what we have the most precious with, basically love. That's where help to transform any spirit, help any spirit to understand where they are, what they should be doing, if you are able to do so. Not through a ritual. A ritual itself does not work, has never worked, and very often make things worse. What really works is praying for those spirits, being extremely patient, understanding that they are there. There is a reason and what for, and very often the reason is what we have done in the past, and the white for is that they are there to giving us the opportunity to fix a mistake of the past. They're giving us the opportunity to reconcile with our brother that we had a Carol before we come to the judge. So very often it's an opportunity for those who are being tormented to reconcile bitter relationships of the past. And the best thing we can do for the spirit is praying for them, being extremely patient with them. If is persecution to the individual, moving to another place not going to happen. Not going to help at all. If because that spirit is not attached to a place, it's attached to a person. But if the spirit is only who wants to make sure that nobody gonna live in my house because it's my house, nobody can be here, then if you move, you get yourself rid of that problem, or the next person who's going to live there, we're gonna have to deal with the same problem. And only through education of that spirit, to make that spirit understand it no longer belongs to the physical world, is that it will cease to happen. And that ain't gonna be done to education, and of course, to educate someone, you have to educate yourself first. But prayers will always be the ultimate resource that will help spirits, because very often they will not be able to learn intellectually, but they will be able to feel. They'll be able to feel love. They'll have to feel a moment of peace. And that are the little windows of opportunity that the spirits, to try to help that spirit, may find in order to help that spirit. And perhaps rather than that, the spirit can take them to a spiritual center, have a communication, initiate that process of recovery.
Hey, Elmo.
Yep.
But this, I mean, don't we do a kind of the same thing when you look at, for example, let's say the Catholic Church, they have, the cross and whatever they use it, and we have the passes. They have all the praying, we also do the prayer. They have the holy water, we have the fluidic water. We kind of, I'm asking, right? It's a question. We also have our rituals when we are treating, obsession, people that come to a spirit center for some session. You have to come like for, I don't know, 6 sessions, and then we talk and don't that, it's kind of, it's the same thing.
No, I disagree with you. It's not the same thing. The process of disobsession in Spiritism is education of 2 individuals. is a process of getting two individuals who have a problem amongst themselves to educate themselves so they will be able to reconcile. Now we use the tools available to us for this process of education. Through the passes, perhaps we can, using our magnetic energies, but more important to the energies that come from the spiritual world, harmonize the flow of energy of that spirit, of that incarnate, so that incarnate can be more resistant to the approximation of the obsessor. We spoke about Tela-Boudica, perhaps give a little strengthening of that Tela-Boudica of that incarnated one. Okay. Perhaps the water, you do the same thing, will help in the harmonization of the physical perispirit complex to make it harder to receive the impacts of the presence of the persecutor. Okay. What I'm saying is that whatever is done with a reason, with a somewhat scientific basis on the science of observation, of course, science of observation basis. And when you do it, we have a reasoning behind for each one of those things that we do. Some people think that the fluidic water is a pure ritualistic thing that should be eliminated from the spiritism. They don't bring, in my opinion, enough arguments for me to completely agree with them. But I don't say they're completely wrong, that perhaps some of us are going to the center, and that is the thing. The individuals going to the spirit centers now to get the water as a replacement for the water that we get in the church, to get passes, is wasting their time. Spirit is not for that. Spirit is a house of education. It's a school for us. And if we go over there seeking to get those things so we can be stronger and this and that, we're wasting our time. Spirit is not for that. It's a house of education. It's through educating ourselves that we vibrate at a higher level, that those who want to harm us cannot reach us, because we vibrate at a higher level. And if it comes to a point where they are able to reach us because we are ready for that, to start that process of to reconcile a relationship, I now have that foundation that Spiritism give me to deal with that spirit who is trying to persecute me. I'm able to work with that spirit now on the basis of the Christian teachings that Spiritism gives to me. So there is a basis, there is a reason in a what for. It's not a formula that is deprived of reason that will do the exorcism and get me free of my obsessors. First of all, I recognize that that guy, that woman has reason, has a what for to be there, and that likely it is my responsibility to educate, to help that spirit in my process of educating myself as well. So it's completely different. Again, there's people, and unfortunately, that's the case. A lot of people are replacing the church or the temples with Spiritist center, and keep going to Spirit center with the same state of mind, wasting their time.
Thank you.
Elmo?
Yep.
But the Spirit Center, you were saying it's a school, but it's not only a school, right? There's a lot of healing going on, even with the passes and the prayers, and even seeking help somehow. Like, I believe in churches there is a lot of healing going on as well, in a different way than we do in the center, at the Spiritist Center. But at least from my personal view, I don't see the Spirit Center only as a school, and only if you're ready, you are helped. Even if you are not ready, there is some level of help going on, which might even, bring that person forward to get to that point of being ready. I wouldn't say that if the person is not ready, it's a waste of time. I wouldn't say that.
Okay.
From my personal experience, and from my personal experience as a person, uh, being on the side of getting help and being protected, or uh, learning as a student, let's say, but also from the other side when we give passes, or um, in the mediumship meetings, it's a lot of healing that I see that goes on.
Okay, so when you're giving passes and you are participating in leadership meetings, what are you doing? You're exercising charity right then and there, right? It's an active, it's an active thing that you're doing over there. You're not a passive thing. Person sitting over there listening to somebody to talk, not even pay attention, just want to get my water that helps my body, get the passes that help my soul and get out of here. That's what I'm saying. There is a true waste of time. Those who come there with that state of mind, but during the lessons, they pay attention, they listen, say, oh, that's interesting, this is good. That is progress. So at the end, what really will help the eternal spirit is the education, is the self-transformation. The one that is going over there to drink the water and get the passes, and I wish that this guy does shut up and give me a pass so I can get out of here, it's not benefit from it. But if I get over there with that state of mind, I just want to get my water, get my passes, and get out of here. But in that process, I'm paying attention to what is being said. I'm learning something. I am transforming myself. That's a process of transformation. When you volunteer to pass a past giver, you already moved a step ahead. You are now willing to give yourself, give something of yourself. That's an exercise of charity right then and there. It's already a progress. You're no longer there only to drink the water and get the passes. You are not only just replacing the church to the spiritual center. So I do agree with you for those who use the opportunity and make progress, allow themselves to be educated by what's being offered in that spiritual center.
Yeah, but the spirit centers are very different, right, from each other. So there are many spirit centers that offer different things than our center offers, and maybe the opportunity for learning is more subtle, or comes from one side just going to the other, right? I read a passage of a book, you read it, you go home and you figure it out what it means, and it's on your own. There are several spirit centers that do that, and ours invites to the dialogue, to the conversation. So could we say then that the spirit centers that are not doing the dialogue, the conversation, are not really offering educational opportunities?
No, I wouldn't. In a spiritual center that have 3,000 people listen to the lecture, they cannot have the comfort that you have of stop and have conversation. So we have this, what I would say, this privilege that we can get more of that an hour they were there, because we can stop and make questions and this and that. We have privilege to have this. And that's why I say, and Kardec have said, that the objective is to have small spirit centers in every block instead of have a big one with 3,000 people, because that's where the most of the learnings happen, because the doctrine is purely instructive. It is a tool to help us to educate ourselves. We should go to the spirit sense to learn, to better ourselves, make ourselves better, to be able to deal with difficulties of life, to be able to deal with the obsessors in a Christian manner. In a small spiritual center that has all the good intentions, that have 10, 15 people and everyone can make questions and go. Yes, it becomes easier to learn in the one that is 300 people, and unfortunately, the presenter of the topic will have to talk, complete that time, go home. Because there is no other way, it's just a logistic. So the objective, the idea would have one spirit center in every block, instead of have one in a town. Then everybody would have the opportunity, the blessed opportunity that we have. But again, the doctrine in itself is purely instructive. It's to instruct, to teach us. It's not there to help me to get rid of my cancer. That the hospital does. We may benefit from it. We may benefit from the spiritual assistance, and they may help me to get rid of my cancer. But definitely, not maybe, it will help me. It will teach me how to live with that cancer, how to live with that new friend that God gave me. That we learn in the spiritual center, or we should.
Mm. Okay.
I think our time is up. Way up.
Well,
That's our final prayers. And sorry for going so far out.
Okay, beautiful. Okay, maybe begin our ending prayer. For our beloved Father, our Jesus, our teacher, our spiritual benefactors, who has contributed here in the teachings of our class tonight. In our hearts full of gratitude, we thank you again for the opportunity of continuing our studies in learning and putting into practice. And most of all, to help those that are all around us. We pray, dear Father, for all that are in need with our prayers throughout the week. May we continue with our studies, with all that this planet Earth is going through. We pray for each and every one who is going through trials and tribulations of hardship. May our prayers soften their hearts. May they understand that they're not alone, and to continue throughout the week with prayers, with strength and courage. And as we leave here today, be able to return again next week with our teachers, with our brothers and sisters, in continuing our studies. And with that in mind, dear Lord, we ask permission to close our meeting tonight. So be it.